his left, Jess on his right. Hey, hold up, don't start a fight. He's got you covered with all the sports. Don't fret, he's wearing shorts. It's time for Waking Jake in the morning, Waking Jake at night. Jake sucks.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to a special Wake and Jake live from winter meetings in beautiful San Diego. Myself, Davis Wimbledon, John Bino floating around. And this current story is the old men pitchers. Jacob deGrom, the first one drops, and it's, okay, where's it going to land? He's the most talented pitcher in baseball, arguably. Recent injury history, 35. Texas, they finally do it. They've been rumored for Kershaw for the past couple years. They go 5 for 185. It's $37 million a year with an option for a 6-year. Crazy money. It's good for Texas. It's good for deGrom. And there is some Mets fear factor, where we'll get to, that they took care of in the next 24 hours. Texas, for where their roster's at and what they were going to do, they were going to have to pay, and boy, they did. And, man, it's a horrifying contract. You got to be honest a little bit, right, with what's happened to deGrom in the recent years, and just the whole fact that it doesn't make sense. Like, it's almost one of those basic life things. Like, you remember that chart that would come out every year that was like, oh, Jacob deGrom throws harder now. And you're like, well, I don't know, man. Like, nobody else really does that. And now he's 35 years old. He's going to Texas, and if you're a Texas Rangers fan, you just have to be excited about it. You can't care about the contract. You can care about the money. He is an ace of staff. He is a one-of-one. He can outduel anyone in the game when he wants to. It's Jacob deGrom, Martin Perez, John Gray, Odorizzi, and Dunning. What's that do for you? I don't know, 75, 81. But hopefully for them, they're planting a flag, and if deGrom can be any version of himself these next 5 years, and they do have a youth movement on the way between Jack Leiter, we've been seeing Al floating around winter meetings, always a treat. Couple other young pitchers, Cole Winn, they drafted Kumar Rocker, right? And that's his whole career is taken one of the weirder paths you'll see. But hey, whatever it is, and if it's an injury-prone version of Jacob deGrom, even if the velocity does come down, which it should, and people have actually been rooting for the past couple years to tone it down so you don't get hurt, they have Jacob deGrom at the top of their rotation. I talked about it a lot on Talking Baseball. If you're a general manager, that's why when I was seeing some of the 3 years or the money that was getting thrown out for deGrom, I was taking the over easily, because every GM dreams of that. To get the best pitcher and to be able to put that in your rotation for what this Texas Rangers rebuild was supposed to be. They got the new stadium, and then COVID hit, and then their team was kind of a disaster for a couple years. It was driving me nuts why they didn't make any smaller moves just to try to make their team any bit better. But, hey, maybe they read the room with the Astros, because they weren't going to compete with them at all. The Mariners have had this awesome kind of rising of their own, and they're still going for it, and they're still looking to make big moves. So hopefully this is the start for Texas, who, by the way, Simeon Seager last year, people say they're not out of it this year on Rodon and some of the other big-ticket items. Let's see where their youth comes in at, because they've got our boy, thick-neck Josh Jung. He's supposed to come up and basically start the year for them. They've got some other young bodies that kind of contributed last year. If you can have some of the Yankees guys, Smith or Zeke Duran, if something can happen there. Simeon Seager, low. Adolis Garcia, Jonah Heim, what he did last year, Young, Brad Miller. You have something. It's just how much is something, because it feels like we do the exact same conversation with the Angels. Like, Texas Rangers and the Angels, if they played heads up 162 games, that's what? 81 and 81?
Maybe one of them can be 85 next year with their next move. That's what they're going for.
Yeah, and let's see what it is. If you're a Texas Rangers fan and they do another move, I mean, I guess don't kiss your ownership group, because your team's still not in a great standpoint. But if they go out and get Simeon, Seager, deGrom, and then another big free agent, my goodness.
I guess if you're them, like, obviously 5 years on deGrom is scary, but the Mets, it seems like they had a 3-year there waiting. You probably had to go beyond 4 for him to not, like, go to the Mets and not give them the chance. I think there would have been some negotiating there. But then if you want to try to spin optimistic, deGrom, like, didn't pitch in college, really. He was still, like, a shortstop.
Right, he was a shortstop.
Like, for 35, he has less mileage on the arm. He has the injuries anyway, so you kind of can't. But if you're a Rangers fan, you're trying to be optimistic. He doesn't debut till 26. Like, the number of innings at his age is, like, a third of what Verlander threw at the same age.
Jacob deGrom could win next year's Cy Young, and it wouldn't be surprising at all. He could win the next
Might
2
be
Cy
minus
Youngs.
money.
And you wouldn't, you wouldn't bat an eye. You'd be like, wow, he stayed healthy and he was that good. The new Texas Rangers ballpark has actually been a pitcher's ballpark, so should help him. Not that he really needs it. For the Texas Rangers, still doesn't seem impactful to the American League. Where it ended up being more impactful is this free agency. This was kind of the wild card. This was, okay, the Texas Rangers entered the chat. They got their guy. And now the Mets, with Steve Cohen and all the momentum they had built up, what are they going to do? Are they in on Rodon? They go to Justin Verlander, JV. He gets another ring in Houston. He opts out of his contract. And rightfully so, because he gets 2 years, $86 million. Crazy money in and of itself. And a bar that Justin Verlander has set for himself, and rightfully so, man. I mean, coming off of TJ, how's your 1.75 ERA? How is your Cy Young? And he comes to New York, which, we've heard the rumors about him and Kate Middleton kind of looking for their – Kate Middleton?
Kate Upton.
Kate Upton. Who's Kate Middleton?
She's
that's the queen
of
the Duchess. Is she out?
She's still, like, attached to the royal family. I know there's a bunch of weirdness there. I'm not in on the Royals. I don't know.
I guess we'll cover that a little later.
Kansas City's fine. Managers over there.
Swag. Quattraro. Verlander goes to the Mets. If you're the Mets, I would love – I'm getting some pulse from my Mets friends. They still want to see what happens the rest of this offseason, like every team, so that's a little cop-outy. But, hey, eye for an eye, right? I mean, deGrom only pitched so much last year, and even when he did with the Mets, he was basically rehabbing, trying to build himself up for this free agency. And shout out to both these older guys for doing themselves right. Remember when Verlander was kind of in a really weird spot with Houston? Like, he was kind of able to come back, and everyone was like, are you going to come back? And he was like, nah. And then he gets paid $25 million, which 2 for $50 at the time, and everyone was like, I don't know, man. Justin Verlander coming off Tommy John, he's 39. Well, he had it right. He knew what his body was doing. And, hey, maybe we'll be saying the same thing about deGrom over the next couple years, that however he dealt with his injury and he timed it, he came back the right way. The Mets have Verlander and Scherzer. It's always funny when we do the Yankees-Mets stuff and people think we should have more of a cold shoulder than the Mets. I mean, you're going to find us rooting. A couple things we like are old men, because as you get older, you can't really idolize the 23-year-old hot prospect that comes up. So Scherzer and Verlander at the top of that rotation with our guy Buck Showalter. Man, it's some of the most fun baseball you can get. If you're a Mets fan, you got to be scared about how you're going to handle Scherzer and Verlander, because you need a plan. If this is your plan, which can work, I mean, those guys can ruin any playoff series for you. But you need them healthy. And Jack Curry stopped by before, and he said 25 starts. If you're going to be doing this with Verlander for 2, if not 3 years, if the vesting option kicks in, which sounded like it was 140 innings pitched. I don't know if we got any final confirmation on that.
I haven't seen confirmation, but I saw like a tweet from not one of the guys.
The website was really confident about it. If you're going to put it, good for you.
It sounds like a benchmark that I'd have expected.
Mets need another starting pitcher for sure. Right now, Verlander, Scherzer, Carrasco, McGill, Peterson. McGill, Peterson as your 5-6 feels a lot better than your 4-5. They'll get a veteran guy, whether Bassett, Tyone, or someone of that ilk. Edwin Diaz came back. They gave him the bag. Don't forget about that. The rest of their bullpen is kind of scary. I think your 2 guy in the Mets bullpen right now is Drew Smith. Right now they have their 3 list as Bryce Montes de Oca. Jimmy's Bryce Montes de Oca. So they've got some work to do in the bullpen, but you can do that. And then in the lineup, I don't know. I still think Nimmo comes back. The outfield crop is thin this year. We've heard Brian Reynolds rumors, which were quite literally made up, and the Pirates shot down, but now there's still Brian Reynolds rumors, which are pretty delicious. I think they go and get another outfielder. I'd assume it's Nimmo. He's a fit on that team at the top of the lineup. Right now they have Vogie listed as their everyday DH. I don't think you're in love with that. I think it can work for you. But for the Mets, you had 24 hours of panic that you lost Jacob deGrom, maybe the most talented pitcher in baseball. You replaced him with the guy who won the Cy Young, just won the World Series. Not a bad situation for Mets fans. And how about Uncle Steve, man? He's living up to the billing. Good for him.
Got it done quick.
A lot of owners in sports come in hot, and sometimes there's highs and lows that come with that. He's the big wallet at the table. He continues to buy. Good for Mets fans. Happy for you. What does it mean for either team? I don't know. Mets are still in a brutal division. Texas, I don't know.
Same.
You're talking about third or fourth. So, all right.